Hi guys, here with a new video. I haven't obtained a new camera yet. I'm looking into what I can get for a camera that's much higher quality than the one that's built into my laptop. I know I still haven't got one. Anything that I've looked at is costing a decent amount of money and over $600, and to get even into the higher levels of cameras, it'll cost possibly even more than that. So I still have research to do. I'm going to see where I can get the best deal at a store like Best Buy or online. I have to make sure the camera is able to upload YouTube videos quickly. In this YouTube video, guys, I'm talking about changes I'm making to my top 50 hip-hop artists or hip-hop lyricists of all time. I'm going to be taking 7 artists that I've already talked about in my top 50 list and removing them and replacing them with 7 other artists that I will talk about in this video. So the artists I'm going to be removing from my top 50 list are Inspectah of the Wu-Tang Clan, DZK, Nas, Eminem, GZA of the Wu-Tang Clan, Jak Tripper, and Keith Murray. So those 7 artists I am taking out of my top 50 hip-hop lyricists or my top 50 rappers of all time. Again, that's Inspectah of the Wu-Tang Clan, DZK or DZK, however you want to pronounce it, DZK, Nas, Eminem, GZA, Jak Tripper, formerly known as Jak Progresso, Jak Tripper, and Keith Murray. So those 7 rappers, I'm taking those 7 MCs or rappers, I'm taking them out of my top 50 list. I've changed over the course of, even the last 2 years, I've changed my mind on what I'm looking for in a hip-hop artist, and an MC, and a lyricist, and I'm taking those 7 guys out. First, about the 7 guys I'm taking out, I guess what I can say about them is, I'll start first with Inspectah. The Wu-Tang Clan in general, as a group, I haven't really been impressed with them outside of their first 2 studio albums as a group. Inspectah has recently done some decent work with 7L and Esoteric as a member of the underground hip-hop supergroup Czarface, along with 7L and Esoteric of Army of the Pharaohs, Vinny Paz's clique, Army of the Pharaohs. So Inspectah has done some good work recently. He's worked with 7L and Esoteric as a member of this underground hip-hop supergroup Czarface, which is similar, I guess 7L and Esoteric and Inspectah together form this group Czarface, and it's supposed to be I guess, I'm not a fan of the albums, but it's supposed to be like that the three of them together, so the producer 7L and the rappers Esoteric and Inspectah are a representation of this kind of superhero. I don't know if it's a superhero or supervillain, but kind of a comic book character called Czarface. I only own the first two albums by Czarface. I'm not sure how many there are. There might be as many as 5 now. The first one came out in 2012 or 2013. But I'm not a big fan of, regardless of what year it came out, regardless of what year the first Czarface album came out in, I've only bought the first 2 Czarface albums. There's maybe 4 or 5 Czarface albums, at least 4. The last 2 I haven't even bought, so I don't have a lot of interest in that hip-hop group. Inspectah really, when I look back at him, he's very, very lyrically skilled, but as time passes, over time, he hasn't, he's gotten, I would almost say he's gotten worse than he was, say, 20 years ago. He hasn't really progressed and evolved, if you will, over time. To use the term fall off, he hasn't totally fallen off, but he has not improved. His ability has gone down, say, since 1998. So that's why I'm taking Inspectah of the Wu-Tang Clan off the list. Now next, DZK. Underground rapper from the greater Washington, D.C. area. I think the state of Virginia is where he's from in specific. He's been very inconsistent. He hasn't released, outside of one feature verse, I don't believe he's released any new music since 2013. So even singles, even single tracks. I don't think he works in hip-hop music at all anymore. DZK, I think he works just a 40-hour-a-week, 9-to-5 job. He's exited hip-hop music. When I look back at him, he's a very skilled lyricist, just like Inspectah. He's different, very different, but a very skilled lyricist. But he's been inconsistent. He hasn't released a lot of albums. Some of his stuff from maybe even 10 to 15 or more years ago that he did, some of his best stuff is even hard to find now, even on YouTube or to buy on iTunes. In fact, it's almost impossible to buy on iTunes. Even on his website, stuff I bought off his website, I can't even find certain tracks that I remember being available on the internet, say in 2008, 2009, 2010. So another thing, personally, for me, DZK is he's quite cynical and mean-spirited as a rapper. It comes with the territory for him because he is a kind of like an internet. He was an internet battle rapper. He battled guys, just recorded a verse and then sent it in against other guys' verses on the internet back in the early to mid 2000s. He's a bit of a cynical, mean-spirited guy, if you will. But he's also, sometimes he tries to almost outdo another rapper who I've mentioned quite a bit in the past. Eminem, he tries to outdo Eminem with this kind of, violent, kind of Slim Shady-esque persona. And you can see that DZK was influenced by Eminem. But he really just, I don't like the cynicism, I don't like the negativity he has in his lyrics. DZK, from what I've heard in the past on songs like Bow Down, there's a song called Bow Down. He's a very, very, if he still holds those beliefs, he's a very kind of cynical, mean-spirited atheist, and that's not personally a line of thinking I agree with. So as the years have passed, as I've gotten older, I'm 30 years old now, I wouldn't rank DZK anymore in my top 50 lyricists or hip-hop artists of all time. Now Nas would be the third person rapper I would remove from the list. With him, basically, it's a question of falling off. His first two studio albums were quite good. His first studio album, a classic, Illmatic. But if you look now, when I look back, there were so many other rappers of his era from the northeastern United States, from New York City, from any of those other northeastern United States that were as good or even better, that had similar kind of introspective kind of introspective kind of rhymes, or rhymes that paid homage to the 80s and the 70s, or to the old school, like on his first album, and similar subject matter about life and, and living in tough urban areas in the northeastern United States, in New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, what have you, any city really in that northeast, in New York and Pacific, one of the first city of hip hop. But since I feel after his first two albums, he kind of became too mainstream. He wanted to placate to a very mainstream audience, and I believe the quality of his work suffered as a result of this. For example, now this is about 6 years old now, this song. He did a feature on a compilation with a rapper, who I hold in very high regard, Apathy, of the Demigods and Army of the Theros. And Apathy is obviously influenced by Nas, and they did a track together called Regeneration Remix, or Regeneration, in brackets, remix. And Nas spits the first verse, and then it's Apathy. And you can see just in that, now they probably weren't in the studio together. Nas was paid a sum of money and agreed to do this feature, but you can see how little Nas was trying, or how little of effort he put in to his work on that song compared to Apathy. Of course, Apathy was trying to outshine his hero, one of his hip-hop heroes who influenced him when he was a teenager. But just if you listen to both their verses, it's obvious that Nas is not what he used to be, far, far from it. And I just have to, and, with the, I guess I would call him a sellout actually, and he's fallen off outside his first 2 studio albums. He had some good material after that, but he wasn't as consistent. And like I said, I have to compare him to all these other rappers from the northeastern United States that were around from the late 80s that started in the late 80s and that are still making music today. So that's hundreds of or thousands of other MCs. Is he really the best? Like if you compare him to every rapper, born in the from the mid 60s to the mid 70s from the northeastern United States that had a record deal at some point or that popped off on MTV in the 90s, out of those hundreds of East Coast rappers, is Nas the best? Not in my opinion. In fact, he's gotten worse over time. He's appealed to the mainstream. He's sold out, if you want to call it that. And the way I feel about him, the way I feel about Nas is similar to the way I feel about the Wu-Tang Clan as a group. They're just not what they used to be, say, prior to the year 2000 or prior to 1999. They're just not what they used to be. They're not as raw, they're not as authentic as they used to be. And for that reason, I would take Nas out of my top 50 hip-hop lyricists of all time. Now, let's take a guy like Eminem. I've talked a lot about him before. I made just one single video just about him, why I put him at number 31. Now I'm taking him totally out of my top 50 lyricists, hip-hop lyricists of all time. Now, why am I taking Eminem out? My personal opinion is that the best version of Eminem, and many people who are fans of Eminem will disagree with me, was actually his era when he was in Soul Intent, in the underground hip-hop group Soul Intent. So anywhere from as early as 1989 to 1995, that was my favorite era of Eminem. Not when he tried to do the Masta Ace, AZ, Nas, Tretch kind of thing, and with Infinite. Although I did like it, nothing wrong with it. Mostly he tried to do a Nas, AZ kind of thing, Nas, AZ, Rakim kind of thing on Infinite. I did like it, but it just, if I compare it to other underground, alternative, and independent hip-hop artists of that time, of the later 90s, it doesn't hold up. Now, when he took on his Slim Shady persona, he had some memorable songs, but overall, I don't feel that his material holds up. Especially if you want to talk about, use the term, the test of time. Anything he's released, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 songs after the Slim Shady LP in 1999, so anything after his first mainstream studio album that he did with Dr. Dre on Aftermath, I just don't see any redeeming value in most of it. There might be maybe more than 1 song since 1999 that I've liked that he's done, since, say, the year 2000 and to present. Maybe 3, but again, like Nas, like the Wu-Tang Clan, he's tried to appeal to a big pop music mainstream audience, even more so than Nas or the Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Tang Clan as a group. His latest album, Revival, it has maybe 1 good song on the whole album. He has features from the likes of Alicia Keys, Pink, Ex-Ambassadors, Ed Sheeran, Uh, I don't know who else, but he has on there. But he has other pop music features, and you know, it's my favorite era of Eminem was 1989 to 1995, the Soul Intent era. So when I look back, I would totally take Eminem far out of the top 50 lyricists or hip hop artists, in my opinion, of all time. So he's totally out of there. Now, on to GZA of the Wu-Tang Clan. I have similar feelings about GZA that I do about Inspectah Deck. Like I said, between 1990, GZA's been around a little longer than the other members of the Wu-Tang Clan. So let's say from 1988 to 1998. That was GZA's prime period as an artist. Since then, I just don't feel the authenticity in his music that there used to be. You know, when he was on Cold Chillin' Records in the late 80s, early 90s as the Genius, or even when he formed the Wu-Tang Clan in 92, and for the Wu-Tang Clan's first 2 studio albums. I just don't feel that he's on the level that he was back then. He's kind of became complacent, like Nas, like Eminem, you know, became a mainstream artist. Not as big as Nas or Eminem, but he's became somewhat of a mainstream hip hop household name. Hasn't put the lyrical effort in that he did 20 plus years ago, and for that reason I would take him out of the top 50 hip hop lyricists of all time. Now on to Jak Tripper. So let's see who I've gone through already. I've removed Inspectah Deck of the Wu-Tang Clan out of my top 50. I've removed DZK out of my top 50. I've removed Nas out of the top 50. I've removed Eminem, Marshall Mathers out of the top 50. So that's 4. I've removed Nas, or sorry, no, so I'll start again so I screwed the count up. I've removed Inspectah Deck of the Wu-Tang Clan. He's gone out of my top 50. I've removed DZK out of the top 50. I've removed, Nas out of the top 50. So Inspectah Deck, gone. DZK, gone. Nas, gone. That's 3. 4 is Eminem. Marshall Mathers is gone. 5, GZA is gone. GZA, the Genius of the Wu-Tang Clan, he's gone. Those 5 artists are gone for my top 50 of all time hip hop lyricist list. And the other 2, I'm on to the last 2 of the 7 I'm removing. Before I get to the 7 that I'm adding in. So on number 6 that I would remove would be Jak Tripper, formerly known as Jak Progresso. And why would I remove Jak Tripper? Oddly enough, similar reasons as to why I would remove DZK. Partially, but both of them I don't like the cynical, ultra negative approach to hip hop. Although their negative approach to hip hop is kind of different for each of them. DZK, it's a lot more about atheism and trying to be this. Speak more on DZK. I didn't talk that much about him. He's trying to outdo the Slim Shady kind of persona with homophobia, with misogyny, with being an outspoken atheist, like on his track Bow Down or Clockworker Revolution or whatever it's called. Some of these, this video will have a lengthy amount of links, of relevant links and info below it. So some of these songs, like these two atheist songs that I'm thinking of, that because I own all of DZK's material that you can buy. I bought it from his website. I will link you to those songs below the video, but I will also link you to other material from the other 7 artists, the new 7 artists I'm adding in. But yeah, the stuff like that by DZK, to talk a little more about him, the staunch atheist phase he was going through, the negativity, the kind of darker version. He was kind of a darker version of the Slim Shady kind of persona. As I get older, I just don't want to hear it anymore. In a way, like, he's a dope, skilled rapper, dope lyricist. I just don't want to. He's totally not involved in hip hop music anymore. He's done one feature verse in the last 5 years. So again, that's more on DZK there. Now Jak Tripper, in some ways, he's similar. Except he has that negative approach. He has a cynical approach. He has a lot of violence in his music, a lot of hardcore, violent themes, misogynistic themes. Jak Tripper, formerly known as Jak Progresso, delves more into like the occult, Satanism, Aleister Crowley, what else? Thelema, witchcraft, LaVeyan Satanism, Anton LaVey, the Church of Satan, things like that. Voodoo, maybe, I don't know, stuff like that. He has a lot of occult themes in his music. In that way, he's kind of a little more interesting than DZK, I guess. But Jak Tripper, again, I don't like the cynicism. I don't like the super dark subject matter. Jak Tripper, to his credit, has released a lot of material. Most recently, he's released mostly EPs and a few studio albums. He comes out with a lot of work, but a lot of these albums that Jak Tripper comes out with, he's just spitballing. He's throwing everything out there. He's making these albums very fast on his computer with poor production, very short songs, or songs that are less than a minute. Not skits on the album, songs that the guy's doing. And then he's charging you $10 Canadian, or $8 or $9 American on Bandcamp for a song, for an album. So in American dollars, he's probably charging $8 or $8.50 American for an EP with 5 or 6 songs with a total length of 11 minutes. I know he likes to be a high volume artist with releases. He doesn't make a full-time living off of rap music, but more the thematic material, the content. As I get older, when I was in my mid-20s, I liked kind of the darker, occult, super, I don't know how you call it, super grungy, kind of almost like he was almost like kind of like a satanic rapper, not necessarily, more like a LaVeyan Satanist kind of philosophical Satanist kind of rapper, LaVeyan Satanist, whatever. But as I've gotten older, that's not where my religious and spiritual beliefs are at. He hasn't put effort into making just, releasing a studio album less often. He comes out with these EPs all the time on his Bandcamp. Jak Tripper does, and they're not of great quality lyrically or production-wise. So for that reason, I would take Jak Tripper, formerly known as Jak Progresso, out of my top 50 hip-hop lyricists. And the final artist I would remove, So here's where we are, guys. I've removed Inspectah of the Wu-Tang Clan. I've removed DZK. I've removed Nas. I've removed Eminem, that's 4. I've removed GZA, the Genius, that's 5. I've removed Jak Tripper, formerly known as Jak Progresso, that's 6 out of the top 50. And the 7th would be Keith Murray, so that's 7. The 7 I'm taking out. 7 artists I'm taking out of my top 50 hip-hop lyricists of all time. Now, Keith Murray, his first album from, I believe, it was 1994. Sorry. His first album from 1994 was a great album, a classic hip-hop album. You got to respect that classic album. Again, he was a member of Def Squad. I will link you to a Wikipedia link of Keith Murray's debut album, along with those 2 songs by DZK that, kind of I don't like. To give you examples of why I'm moving away from being a fan of their music at this stage in my life. But Keith Murray, again, I've mentioned more famous guys in the mainstream or in hip-hop. Inspectah, Nas, GZA, Eminem, who's the most famous, as kind of falling off, not in the 90s, all those guys in the 90s, Nas, Eminem, Inspectah, GZA, were, in their peak prior to the year 2000. That's when I liked their music the best. Now, nowadays, I think they've all become complacent when it comes to pushing the boundary with lyrics or thematic messages in their music. And the same goes for Keith Murray. I know he's not as famous as those other guys. His first album was a great album, but he did some good stuff with Def Squad in the 90s, mid-90s, mid, say 94 to 98 maybe, but I don't see him anymore as a top 50 hip-hop lyricist of all time. I just don't. I don't see him at that level, and I'm removing him. Would be the 7th and final hip-hop lyricist I'm removing from my top 50 of all time. Now, to replace those guys that I've taken out, I've come up with a list of lyricists that I feel personally are underrated, underappreciated, and deserve more recognition by every hip-hop head out there. So in order, I'll start with who I put in at the highest spot. So this would be, I'll put also a link to the old list of the top 50, and you can see where I had those other 7 artists. So accordingly, like first, I think this first one would be Inspectah. He might have been at number 21 or 22 or 23, I can't remember. Probably 21 or 22 in that top 50 list. In order, going back with these top 7, taking those guys out in order. So at the highest spot where I took Inspectah out, I would put in the late great Viro The Virus. Originally from New Jersey, I believe. He's lived in several areas of the northeastern United States, as well as, I believe, Arizona and New Mexico. He's not very well known. Tragically, he's no longer with us. He passed away almost exactly, 6 years ago now, under circumstances. I've heard various things about his passing. I've heard that he died. He went somewhere in Arizona or New Mexico and just without any supplies and just died of exposure in the desert in April 2012. I've heard that he accidentally overdosed from drugs or alcohol somewhere in Arizona or New Mexico. I've heard that he killed himself, committed suicide. I'm not sure. There's internet rumors out there. But I would like to think that he didn't commit suicide, because he seemed like through his rhymes, he was a very nice man, very nice person. So I would like to think that he didn't. Listening to his music, you could tell that he had a streak of depression and self-regret going through him. But Viro the Virus, the late great Viro the Virus, may he rest in heaven's paradise, is a very underrated hip-hop artist. Very underrated, underappreciated. Most notably, he worked with the Snow Goons, who produced the beats for some of his best-known songs. My personal favorite song by Viro the Virus is the song has gone under. I've seen it, depending on which album or EP it's on. It's gone under different names. The name I know it under is "Who Are You," and it's a very evocative, kind of touching song where he talks about different people he knew when he was younger and how they're how they kind of a coming of age kind of song about their self-identity, about a white guy who wishes back in the late 90s, mid 96 to 98 or whatever, that wishes he was black, and then he says the N-word and then gets beat up. And then he talks about a African American guy that he used to know during that same time frame that tries to act white because he's ashamed of growing up poor. It's a very touching, evocative song. I'll link that song under the information on Wikipedia about Viro the Virus. On top of that, Viro the Virus was a very kind of well-rounded artist. He had a lot of witty punchlines. He rapped about in his raps he talked about a wide range of subjects, anything from criticizing mainstream hip-hop to comedy kind of material to storytelling to battle bars to kind of introspective kind of material to coming of age kind of material. He's very well-rounded, and he's an unsung hero of hip-hop. Like I said, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He's been passed for about 6 years now, almost exactly, and he will be missed. He's worked with the Snow Goons. Check out some of the older Snow Goon stuff that Viro the Virus did with the Snow Goons. There's some great material on there. My favorite song of Viro the Virus's is "Who Are You?" So I would take out Inspectah deck from that top spot of these artists I'm doing these changes with on the list and put in Viro the Virus, the late great Viro the Virus. Rest in paradise, brother. Now in DZK's spot, taking out DZK, I would put Killah Priest, the Wu-Tang Clan affiliate Killah Priest in there. I believe he is a member of the Wu-Tang Clan affiliated group Sons of Man. Now for me, Killah Priest, I've listened to a few of his albums, maybe 3 of his albums. To me, though, Killah Priest has always came across as a guy who bodies features. He just kind of, every feature I've heard Killah Priest on, he's put 100% effort in. Be it on an artist, like an artist I would listen to, say like a Cannabis, on an album of Cannabis, on one of Biss's albums, on one of Ill Bill's albums, on a wide variety of artists' albums. You know, on compilation albums like the Snow Goons. He's never, in my opinion, spit a whack verse. Killah Priest, and in my opinion, lyrically, he's better than every single member of the Wu-Tang Clan. So, Killah Priest, very underrated. He bodies every feature that I've ever heard him on. He always puts effort in. He still has love for the craft. So, in the second spot, I would put Killah Priest. I guess he's a member of the Wu-Tang Killa Bees and of Sons of Man. I would put him in there. Very underrated is Killah Priest. Now in the spot of Nas, Prince Nasir, Nas. I think Nas at one point called himself, or very early in his career, Prince Nassim and Prince Nasir, as well as just Nasir. But Nas, in his spot, I would put Brother Ali. Brother Ali. He's been associated with Rhymesayers Entertainment, possibly also with Def Jux, but more so with Rhymesayers Entertainment. He's from Minnesota in the United States. He's a white guy, but he suffers from albinism. He's an albino, but he converted to Islam. When between age 17 and 20. I'll put the Wikipedia article about him as a link. You can find out the exact dates. But Brother Ali is a very, very gifted lyricist, unsung hero of hip-hop, much like Viro The Virus and Killah Priest. Brother Ali, he's done some great political material. He's done some great kind of introspective, coming-of-age material. He's very lyrically skilled. He's not... Over time, he hasn't really gotten worse. He's still there. He's still putting out good material. Brother Ali is. So I can't say anything bad about the guy when it comes to his lyrical skills. He's definitely one of, he's a top rapper out of that Rhymesayers camp. One of the top rappers out there. Along with Slug of Atmosphere and Aesop Rock. Guys of that ilk, if you will, to use that word. He's up there, Brother Ali, and he's very underappreciated. And I would take in that spot Nas out of the top 50 and put Brother Ali in there. Now, in Eminem's spot in the top 50, I would replace Eminem with Omar Credle with OC. OC of Digging in the Crates. Big L's crew, the late great Big L, may he rest in heaven's paradise. Big L's crew. OC, very recently, in I think September of last year, in September of 2017, OC partnered up with Apathy and came out with an extremely dope album, Perestroika. For an example of OC's work, I'm going to put the song Soviet Official. Apathy on that song has a very, very strong verse, and OC just keeps up with them. OC has incredible verse on that song. OC is consistent through that whole album. And this came out fairly recently, September 2017, so when you talk about not falling off, I would look at a guy like OC, Omar Krettel, as a guy who hasn't really fallen off. In fact, in some ways, he's gotten better over the years. He still can keep up with some of the most lyrical artists out there, like Apathy. Make a whole album with Apathy. He did. He made a whole album with Apathy. Sorry, and it was a great album. So OC definitely is a guy I would put in the top 50. Take out Eminem. So let's see where we are. I've taken out Inspectah, replaced him with the late great Viro The Virus. I've taken out DZK, replaced DZK with who would I replace DZK with? I'm just trying to think for a second. I replaced DZK with Killah Priest, so I'll start again. So I forgot. So I'll start again. I took out Inspectah of the Wu-Tang Clan out of the top 50. Replaced Inspectah with with the late great Viro The Virus. So gone is Inspectah. In is the late great Viro The Virus. Gone is DZK. And in is Killah Priest of Sons of Man. So gone is Nas, and in is Brother Ali. So far, the new guy's in. We have Viro The Virus. We have Killah Priest. We have Brother Ali. We have OC taking Eminem's place. And taking GZA's place, I would put, let's see, to take out GZA's place, I would have to put, let's see, the late great Pumpkinhead. So take out GZA. GZA's gone. And I would put in the late great PH, or Pumpkinhead. May he rest in heaven's paradise. Pumpkinhead, known for being a battle rapper, even in the more modern era of battle raps. So he's been around in King of the Dot and Smack URL, possibly in Grind Time. I can't remember all his battles, but he's done recent battles up until when he passed away in, I believe it was June of 2015. He was going in for, I think, a day surgery, and while he was waiting in the hospital, he passed away somehow tragically. Now, Pumpkinhead, a very underrated underground rapper. My favorite actual song by Pumpkinhead is, I believe it's the last original material he's released, and it was on the Snow Goons' most recent compilation album, Goon Bap, which came out in mid-December of 2016. So about a year and 4 months ago. He has this song called My Advice. And that song is, listen to that one song. I'll link you to it in the description box, in the text box below the video. On the song My Advice, Pumpkinhead pretty much comes out with everything when it comes to authenticity in a rapper that I look for in that song. So I would put the late great Pumpkinhead, rest in paradise, into the spot of let's see here. So Gets confusing with 14 total. 7 in, 7 out. So gone again. Inspectah deck is gone. In is in his place the late great Viro The Virus. Gone is DZK. In his place is Killah Priest of Sons of Man. Gone is Nas. In his place is Brother Ali. Gone is Eminem out of the top 50. In his place is OC Omar Credle. And gone is Jizza, and in Jizza's place would be Pumpkinhead, the late great PH Pumpkinhead. So gone is Jizza, in is Pumpkinhead in Jizza's place. So that's 5. Now on to number 6, who I'm putting in, to take out the place of Jak Tripper. I would put in Zero of the South Park Coalition and an associate of the Screwed Up Clique from Houston, Texas. Very, very underrated artist from the South. Zero. Closely associated with one of my favorite hip-hop artists of all time, if not one of my top hip-hop artists, K. Reno. He's associated with Gangsta Nip, associated with Paul Wall, Slim Thug, Lil Flip, associated with Trey the Truth, DJ Screw, the Screwed Up Clique. Zero, a very underappreciated and underrated artist from the South. Very lyrical. I've heard some of his recent material. Very, very, very. He still has it. And so I would take out Jak Tripper, who, for reasons as I previously said in this video, has become less than consistent, and I would put in Zero, the legend from Houston, Texas. So let's go through this 6 again. Inspectah deck gone. Viro The Virus, Rest in Paradise in. DZK gone. Killah Priest in. Nas gone. In Nas's place, third guy I'd put in Brother Ali. Eminem gone from the top 50. In Eminem's place, I would put OC Omar Credle. Jizza is gone. In Jizza's place, I'd put the late great Pumpkinhead, may he rest in paradise. That's 5. 6, Jak Tripper, gone. In his place, I put the legend Zero. And finally, in Keith Murray's place, I would put, let's see, in Keith Murray's place, who would I put? I would put it's hard to decide because there's so many. But in Keith Murray's place, I would actually put when you're going to the top 50, that's the cream of the crop, right? That's the top of the top, the cream of the crop of lyricists in hip-hop. So, Keith Murray's gone. And in his place, I would put Tonedeff. I would put Tonedeff in there. Tonedeff. Tonedeff, who has associated with the cunning linguists, or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Cunning linguists. Tonedeff. Tonedeff, Tonedeff, Tonedeff. Gone is Keith Murray in his Tonedeff. And why am I putting Tonedeff in the final replacement place in the top 50? Tonedeff, he's an underrated, underappreciated alternative hip-hop artist. Even if you just listen to his first EP that came out, he recorded it in 1996, released the EP in 1997. It's called the Monotone EP. Again, that's the Monotone EP. You see the amount of talent he had, even from a very young age, Tonedeff. Much like Viro The Virus, Tonedeff, he's very versatile, like the late great Viro The Virus. Tonedeff is very lyrically skilled on a wide array of subject matter. He has ultra witty punchlines, like Viro The Virus, humorous material, he has serious material, he has battle bars, he has, introspection, coming of age, even sometimes gangsta kind of hardcore lyrics. Tonedeff is another, when you think about it, unsung hero of hip hop, and it's sad to see that even on his YouTube channel and on some of his most famous songs on YouTube, there's maybe 5,000 views only. Tonedeff was a guy who really, before he even released an album, he was doing freestyle rap battles in the early 90s. I believe he appeared in 1993. You can check. I'll put the Wikipedia link. He appeared on the Arsenio Hall show in 1993. He was kind of like R.A. the Rugged Man was in his early career, very early career of R.A. the Rugged Man, seen as kind of an unsigned hype kind of guy, like a guy who would be the next big late 90s hip-hop artist or mid-90s hip-hop artist. The commercial success, unfortunately, didn't pan out for Tonedeff, and he kept in the alternative scene and in the underground. He's a guy that, similar to Chino XL, a guy that Eminem definitely, I can see, drew inspiration from later in Eminem's career when he took on the Slim Shady persona, in the sense that Eminem would rip celebrities and other popular rappers. Tonedeff was doing that stuff pre-1996. And, that's one of the sources that Eminem took from, was Tonedeff, along with Chino XL, as I've mentioned. But in fact, later in Eminem's career, starting with Eminem's third studio album, mainstream studio album, starting with the Eminem Show, you get to see Eminem almost fully take on a Tonedeff-like persona. Even as recent as Revival, he kind of moved away from the Master Ace, Chino XL kind of thing he was doing with the Slim Shady style, and he went into kind of a Tonedeff rip-off style, and basically, the originator of that kind of comedic, like stuff he would spit, that Eminem would spit, say, on albums like the Eminem Show, to his most recent album, Revival, that's almost a much worse, glossed over, dumbed down version of stuff that Tonedeff has done throughout his career. and as early as 1996 when he recorded the Monotone EP. If you don't believe me, I'll put a link to a song from, I think it was recorded in 1996 and released in 1997 called Philosophy Heals the Soul. Again, the song's called Philosophy Heals the Soul. And you can see, although the song isn't hardcore or doesn't try to be edgy, you can kind of see how a newer Eminem, post 2001 Eminem, you know, like, you see like an Eminem song from a while back, like let's say Haley's song, for example, about his daughter, or a song that's more recent, like the song Headlights, where Eminem's apologizing to his mother for disrespecting his mother in his music, to even one of his very most recent songs, and I think the lead single from Revival, which would be Walk on Water featuring Beyonce. Beyonce, that was the other pop music feature, I forgot. That was on Revival. That's straight out of the textbook of Tonedeff, really. I mean, like, albeit more glossed over and dumbed down. And in the song Philosophy Heals the Soul, you'll kind of see that. And that was recorded in 96, released in 97. Tonedeff was on that tip way back then. On the tip of a kind of a Haley song, on the tip of Headlights, featuring the singer from Fun Dot, or whatever the band's name was, is on the tip of a song like Walk on Water featuring Beyonce. And I don't dislike those songs by Eminem, but Tonedeff was doing that style way before Eminem. And the fucked up thing is Tonedeff and Chino XL have never been shouted out by Eminem for influencing him, because they're not big names. Eminem will shout out LL Cool J, he'll shout out Rakim, he'll shout out Nas, he'll shout out the Beastie Boys, even Kid Rock, Kendrick Lamar, Prince, the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac Shakur, mainstream kind of legends like that. But it's fucked up how Eminem will never, ever shout out guys like Tonedeff, Chino XL, Esham, Insane Clown Posse, Awesome Dre, or Twisted. Guys who are as responsible for his style and of rapping, and his fame for that matter, and the money he made, as a guy like Tretch is another one, who former mainstream rapper who Eminem has shouted out, along with guys like Rakim, Nas, LL Cool J. It's fucked up. He's never these independent, alternative, and underground heroes. It's fucked up that a lot of them, like I mentioned, ICP, Esham, Twisted, Awesome Dre, One Below a Binary Star, Tonedeff, Chino XL. It's fucked up. Those guys almost, that I just listed, these underground guys, these independent guys, are more responsible almost for Eminem's style than those old school, or those earlier 90s kind of, first half of the 90s kind of stars. I mean, all of these guys were influenced by those guys. But as hip-hop evolved and changed in the mid-90s, Eminem definitely drew huge inspiration from guys, like that. Tonedeff being a perfect example. Perfect example. So, yeah. So again, just to recap, I took out Inspectah from my top 50 list. Replaced Inspectah with the late, great Viro The Virus. I took out DZK from my top 50 list. Replace DZK with Killah Priest. I took out Nas from my top 50 list. Replaced Nas with Brother Ali. I took out Eminem from my top 50 list. Replaced Marshall Mathers with the late, great Pumpkinhead. I believe, or did I? Yeah. No, sorry, I replaced Eminem with, let's see here. I replaced Eminem with, not Pumpkinhead, had a little, brain freeze there. Let me start again. Inspectah, gone. Replaced with the late great Viro the Virus. Next would be it's difficult, so difficult. All these names, all these coming up with it on the spot. Let's try again. Inspectah, gone. Replaced with Inspectah was replaced with Viro the Virus, the late great Viro the Virus. DZK, he's gone out of my top 50. Replaced with Killah Priest. DZK replaced with Killah Priest. Nas, gone. Nas is replaced with Brother Ali. Eminem, gone out of my top 50. Eminem is replaced with the late great Pumpkinhead. I believe, anyway. I'll put this in text below. Jizza, gone. Jizza is replaced with OC, Omar Credel. So that's 5. Jak Tripper's gone. Jak Tripper is replaced with Zero, the Texas legend. Sorry, the Texas legend from Houston, Texas. Zero. And finally, Keith Murray's gone out of my top 50. And Keith Murray is replaced by Tonedeff, who I just talked about. So there you go. So the top new 7, I'll go through it one more time. I won't mention who I took out because I don't want to have another brain freeze there. Top 7 new guys added into that top 50 list. I'll put a link of what the top 50 list was. And in order, if you take out those other 7 rappers that I'm taking out and put in order these rappers. So, Viro the Virus, rest in paradise. Killah Priest. Put in Brother Ali. Put in the late great Pumpkinhead. Put in OC. Put in Zero. And you put in Tonedeff. So that's 7 I'm putting in right there. Those are the changes I'm making to my top 50 hip-hop lyricists of all time. I'll put a lot more information about each of those 7 new artists, their Wikipedia pages, and one YouTube link, song link of an example of what I think is near their best work. And I'll also mention the 7 that I'm taking out, but I made a few mistakes in this video, had a few senior moments or brain freezes. I kind of came up with this on the fly, but if you look in the information that I'll put below the video, I'll give you a lot more information on those 7 artists that I'm putting in. and on and I'll add in a song. I'll put a YouTube link for what I believe is some of their best material to give you an example why I think they deserve a place in my list of top 50 of all-time hip-hop lyricists. Again, guys, I'm sorry for kind of these kind of the muddled thoughts I've had in this, because I've came up with this on the fly, almost on the spot. I had to think of, had to go through my mind of hip-hop artists who I can give a reasonable argument as to why they are better than those 7 guys I'm taking out. So I'm sorry for all the kind of confusion in there, or the moments of confusion. I appreciate you guys bearing with me. Hit thumbs up on the video if you agree with me. And even if you don't, hit thumbs up on the video. Thank you guys. Bye.